Greetings, Mindcrafters, and welcome to yet another discussion, an exciting discussion. I'm going to prime you right there, an exciting discussion on the importance of mindset. And, we've been talking about this in Mindcraft. Oh, and I should remind everyone, right? What I'm doing here is trying to be a vehicle to help people become the boss of their brain, to become the boss of your thoughts. So important, because thoughts come first and feelings come second, and then actions or behavior third, even if it's milliseconds. So just reminding you about that. If people say, oh, we are what we eat, okay, well, that's true, but you're not going to be eating anything if you don't have a brain, right? It's just how it works. We are what we think, absolutely, without question, which is why mindset is everything. This is my leash for Giovanni, and this is my glow-in-the-dark Einstein t-shirt. Everybody should have one. Just a little squirrel moment there. Okay, so mindset. Carol Dweck, gotta do my shout out right now. Not that I think I'd forget, but I could. Carol Dweck is like the goddess with all the mindset stuff. She's known all over the world, and not just in psychology, but education and business. She's made herself just wonderfully popular with this idea of mindset. And so she talks about fixed versus growth mindset, right? So a fixed mindset is when somebody is sort of thinking that, this is all the intelligence, artistic ability, athletic ability, whatever, that I was given, and that's all I got, and that's it, that's going to stay that way, basically. And so the growth mindset is much different, because that person thinks, okay, I was given this much intelligence, athletic ability, artistic ability with computers or whatever, and if I put in effort, when I put in effort, I will improve and I'll get better, which we know to be true. And you've heard me, speak before about how much I love skills. I'm a big fan of skills, because we have agency with skills. Not everybody can be Michael Phelps or Simone Biles or Ellie Purrier. Let's say I'm in Montgomery, Vermont, home of our Olympian Ellie Purrier, because there's a lot of genetics and God-given talent there, and a lot of effort. Obviously, the Olympians are putting tons of effort too. The difference is that the fixed mindset crew, they don't really value effort. It's kind of like you have what you have and that's it, versus the growth mindset of, if I work at it, I can improve and get better. And we're also proud of Ellie. I can't even tell you, man, what a dynamite. She's just a dynamite young lady too. She's just a good person. All right, so anyway, mindset. So super important. So growth versus fixed. And so Carol Dweck has done a ton of work with this, with kids in inner city schools, and also written about research with kids in inner city schools. And so Harlem is one, South Bronx, also a school in Chicago, one in LA, and I believe one in Washington State as well. And these kids sort of have been tagged, We all know what the stigma with inner city schools is. They're tagged as being, less than, not as smart, disadvantaged, underprivileged. Worse than that, they've been tagged with labels, I don't want to say words, because 2021, we wouldn't use those words. Learning differences and things like that. And many of these schools, these inner city schools in those cities that I named, were in the lowest percentiles, as far as achieving on these standardized tests. And lo and behold, with Carol Dweck's research, Jamie, I forget his last name, to the LA school, he had these kids taking calculus and doing well in calculus. And another school that Carol Dweck talks about, where they were, these quote-unquote underprivileged kids scoring way low on these standardized tests, ended up, once the mindsets were changed, making it to the 95th percentile. So this is what happened. Carol Dweck says this is not about how smart they are. This is about how we're speaking to them, and how we're teaching them, and how we're praising them, actually. And so when they were treated like little geniuses, lo and behold, they performed like little geniuses. They did have the intelligence. They thought, they had it in their heads that they were stupid and less than. and underprivileged and all these other things. And once the teachers change their mindsets and help the children change their mindsets, they were enormously successful, scoring very high on these various tests. And Carol Dweck also talks about when she gave, I don't want to say they were 10-year-olds, some very challenging math problems. Those kids with the fixed mindsets were very upset when they didn't perform like they were expected to, because when a kid's been tagged as the smart one in the family, you're so smart, they feel like they have to constantly prove themselves. And if they don't do well, they get a C or whatever grade that is, that they've somehow failed and haven't measured up to their destiny or whatever. Same thing with athletics and artistic ability. And so she therefore talks about how important it is to praise as parents, parents definitely, and anyone who works with kids, to focus on praising their effort, the process, rather than character traits or personality traits, intelligence level, rather than say, wow, you're so smart, you got da-da-da-da-da. It doesn't mean never say they're smart. Okay, it's all right sometimes, but mostly it's way better to praise their effort. Like, look how well you did. You maybe it's a high school kid, and you sacrificed going on the camping trip on Saturday, and you put in all this effort, and look what happened. You did so well, that sort of thing. And she even found with these kids, because they were so locked into their label of being smart, the smart one in the family, just plain smart, whatever, that they went to great lengths to avoid quote unquote failing, because failure is excruciating for somebody with a fixed mindset. It doesn't mean the rest of us like failure either, it's just a much different outlook. And so Carol Dweck found that they would go to the lengths of either avoiding the challenging class altogether, or in some cases even cheating, so that they didn't quote unquote fail. In other words, the kids with the growth mindset, if they got a C or whatever like that, they looked at or just got it wrong. The growth mindset kids looked at that as, wow, that was challenging, that was hard. The fact that I got a C is actually good here, because this was really hard. And they challenged themselves to learn more and to take something out of it. And I actually see this at the college level sometimes. That sometimes students are afraid to take on challenging things when they think that they might not hold up to this. So it's very, very important. And academics have a growth mindset. And then also, this really trickles into the rest of our lives too. So there's a huge correlation between a fixed mindset and pessimism, and there's a huge correlation between pessimism and depression. And so pessimism, of course, 3 P's. Pessimists are apt to take things personally, things are pervasive, and they are permanent. And so the 3 P's, personal, pervasive, and permanent, of pessimism are very much correlated with depression. And those with the fixed mindset also hold that these bad events that happen to them are very personal, pervasive, and permanent. And so if somebody is struggling with depression with a fixed mindset, is going to have a much tougher time than somebody with a growth mindset. And growth mindset is linked more to optimism. So obviously depression is complicated. We'll do more on that later also. I know I keep saying that. You can only do so much in 17 minutes. So we're going to focus here on the importance of having a growth mindset. So the person with the more fixed mindset is going to look at their depression as, like, this is it. I'm depressed. It's it forever. I kind of like, this is just it. The ticket, I got the bad lottery ticket. I'm depressed. It's how it is. It's never going to get any better, blah, 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 blah. The growth mindset person, and again, I'm not saying this is easy, is going to have more of an outlook that the depression is a catalyst or maybe even a motivator for growth. And again, not saying it's easy. The person with the growth mindset is more apt to make changes, structure their day, maybe start getting into exercise. Even if they weren't an exerciser, they might start off with walking. Also, and then maybe, take up something entirely new if they weren't into sports, maybe mixed martial arts or fencing, or even something more low-key. They're also more apt to look at their nutrition, maybe think about their sugar intake, and maybe that should go down, fact, you definitely should go down if somebody's dealing with depression. The thing is that the person with growth mindset is going to have a much, much easier time managing depression. And they're also more apt to seek out therapy and be, maybe more open to medication, some of the other things. It's just how it is, because they have the idea in their head, the beliefs, more than an idea, it's a belief system, that if I put effort in, this will get better. If I put effort in, this will get better. This is what the growth mindset is. So again, I love skills because they give us agency. We can, look at somebody who we know and want to be like them. I'm not saying be them, but maybe they're a little more optimistic, or maybe they have a good exercise regimen on, and we're going and we're noticing them and wanting to emulate them, because we think, if I just practice whatever it is, I can get better. So huge correlation with optimism with the growth mindset folks too. Relationships. Our mindset is everything to begin with. So we talked about academics. It's also true in the workplace, because somebody might be in middle management and having a decent salary and a nice business card with something important on there. And then, but they really want to be an entrepreneur. They really have this great idea for a business. They can see it, they can taste it. Everything in them is saying, do this. And yet they're labeled as the successful one. Oh, that's my successful son, and he makes this, and she makes this, and whatever. And then they don't do it. They're not happy in that middle management job. There's no spark. Maybe they're not even miserable, but they're staying there and stuck because they're kind of afraid to the failure part is excruciating. So then the relationships thing, mindset leaks into our relationships too, because a mindset, again, is everything. So somebody with a fixed mindset is in let's say, long-term relationship, marriage, or another long-term relationship. And the couple has issues, because I don't know if there's a couple out there who doesn't. And I'm talking about regular couple issues, not severe abuse or something like that. Regular couple issues. And after the issues go on for a while, they might say, you know what? If I have to put in this much effort, maybe this isn't meant to be. And I should go find, somebody new. Okay? And maybe that's true, but they don't really have both feet in the pool. They got one foot out of the pool. And if it takes this much effort, it's probably not meant to be. That is a stuck, fixed mindset. Whereas the growth mindset person is going to be in it to win it. Both feet in the pool. And, really realize that, as far as meant to be, I don't know. But I love this person, they love me, and I'm willing to do whatever I can to try to make it work. They're more apt to seek out couples counseling. They're more apt to understand that marriage and long-term relationships take a ton of work. Even when you totally love each other and you like each other and you're compatible and you have a million things in common, it takes work. Trust me, I've been married 30-something years to my beloved, and if he were standing right next to me, he'd say the same thing. And we're totally besties, and there are times when you want to take the nearest frying pan and bang, because that's just how it works. Relationships are work, and if they're non-romantic relationships, just best friendships, or very strong coworker relationships, all of it takes effort. It's just how it is. And the growth mindset person is going to be way more apt to have healthier, better relationships, do better in school, do better in the workplace, whatever that means for you, and be happier overall because of their outlook on life, that I can always improve by putting in the effort. Whatever we do over and over again is going to become a habit. Whatever we practice, we will inevitably get good at. And they get that. And there's agency in that. It's not like, woe is me, I'm the chosen one for whatever bad circumstances are happening. They take those and run with it. The growth mindset person is not going to look at failure like it's the end of the world. It might feel like it in that moment, not saying it's easy, though they'll have the resilience, they'll have the bounce back to know that there maybe is a new direction here. We're being pointed in a new direction, and this is also a learning experience. Okay, so mindset is everything. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from Northern Vermont. Have a growth mindset today.